Hi, everybody. Justin here. I just wanted to preface the show with a couple of announcements. First, the fun stuff up front. We are going to be doing giveaways coming up very, very soon. It's going to be on next episode. We're going to announce the winners. The only thing you need to do to be in the running is be a patron on our Patreon at patreon.com/Retro Warriors. We're going to be doing 4 weeks of giveaways, and they're going to be SNK arcade games redeemable through Steam that we're giving away. First up is going to be Metal Slug 2. We're going to be announcing winners for that next week. Next order of business, you may notice that we sound much, much better this week. The reasoning for that is because my very good friend Pablo has volunteered his time to do the editing on the show each week. Now, I've been editing the show for the last 2 years, but I'm not really an editor, as you can probably tell. So thankfully, he went to school for this kind of stuff. So he's going to be editing the show henceforth, and we're going to sound substantially better. So huge, huge thank you to Pablo for dedicating his time to us. Also, on that same front, friend of the show, Brad, who you may remember from our early episodes, probably the first 7 or 8, has volunteered a theme song, which we're going to be using for every single show henceforth. Now, I do love having different video game music at the beginning and end of each episode, but at the end of the day, we just don't have the rights for all of that music, so it's not super okay for us to continue doing it. So in the interest of being a more professional show and a higher quality show and being free and clear as far as rights and fair use and everything goes, we are going to be using these themes moving forward because they were also commissioned for us by Brad. So huge, huge thanks to Brad for that. And the very, I promise, it's the very absolute final announcement I want to make is about this week's show. This week, we were going to be having a special guest on to talk about Metal Gear, but that didn't happen. So at the very last minute, like minutes before the show started, he had to cancel because his internet in his apartment complex was out. So this week, we did cover the first Halo game, and I will go ahead and warn you, we did get some details a little fuzzy because we were completely unprepared for this topic. It was just what I had been playing, and it was the thing we could talk the most about. So the topic doesn't start till near the end of the show. I do apologize about that, and I do apologize about the few things and details that we got a little bit wrong. And I promise we will be revisiting Halo in the future so that we can give the series the show that it absolutely deserves. So without further ado, I will let you get to the show proper. Thanks. Gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 76. Woo! As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by resident old bastard Chris Saturn.
Hello.
This is our first show of 2017.
Oh, shit.
I mean, it's not 2017 now.
Right.
Right now, it's December 29th? 29th?
Yeah, I think so. Wait.
I don't know what date it is.
No, it's the 28th.
It's December something.
Yeah.
It's post-Christmas.
We're still watching celebrities fall like flies.
Yeah, oh my God. It's like 2016. It's got like 3 or 4 days left. And it's like, nope, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was some sad shit too. Carrie Fisher, she was 60.
Yeah.
That was so sad.
And it's whoever it was right before her that we've already forgotten about.
I know. Because everyone.
George Michael.
Yeah.
Was also
he
very
died
young.
on Christmas.
Yeah, he died on Christmas. And he was very young when he died.
Because every
like
Christmas.
51, 52, something like that.
Every Christmas, you hear the Wham song.
Yeah.
You know. And, It's honestly, it's become one of the more popular Christmas songs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's one that I don't remember being a kid and hearing it every year, but I do now.
Right.
And I was sitting there with a friend on the day after Christmas, and he was like, George Michael died on Christmas. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, George Michael. And I was like, the Wham guy?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. The guy that sings that really great Christmas song? Yeah. He died on Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 2 days later, Carrie Fisher died.
Yeah.
3, I don't know. It
might have
don't
been
know
the
what
next
day it
day.
is. God, I think it's just like counting down to 2017. Just 2016 just has to kill a person a day.
Yeah.
Until
People right now are surrounding Morgan Freeman, Betty White, and the Queen of England to make sure that they're okay.
Oh my God, it's. I worry about
Stan Lee as well.
Oh my God, Stan Lee. Don't even say it. Don't even say anything.
Oh God! I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's silly that we worry about celebrities and everything else.
Right.
But I mean, a lot of them, like Robin Williams is one that really hit home for
Oh
me.
yeah,
like,
yeah, because
which that one's
he
it's
still
been
could have made plenty of
Yeah.
more films.
I mean,
in
there
his
was
life.
there are some celebrities that due to their body of work are important to us as individuals.
Also, as far as the scope of the show, Robin Williams was a huge Zelda fan,
he was indeed.
and his Zelda commercials were amazing.
Oh yeah,
and
and he always had that big bushy beard. I always wondered if they made him grow that for the commercials.
well, there
Like,
was that one commercial where he shaves it.
does he? I guess I didn't see it all.
There's a Four Swords commercial
Mhm.
with him and his daughter Zelda,
Right.
where they're competing in Four Swords to get the most rupees,
Mhm.
and if she wins, she gets something, and they don't say what it is.
Mhm.
And then she wins, and then it cuts away, and then it pans to like an hour later, and he doesn't have the beard, and he's like, "All right, you won."
So surely someone took that and edited in the scene from Jumanji where he's shaving, right? Please tell me someone did that.
I can't speak to that.
Because if they didn't, I'm going to go home and do it right now.
All right.
Like, I will stop the show. You know what? I am going to do that. I take it back. I'm going to do it either way.
Yeah.
So I don't care.
There you go.
And I'm allowed to do it because I don't monetize on YouTube.
That's right.
Every time I put a video up, it's like 800 people have copyright claims. And I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Anyway, more to the point.
Uh-huh.
This is our first show of 2017.
Yes.
So we're going to spend it talking about 2016. Yay! Christmas happened.
Yeah.
I'm sad. I know Christmas is not a thing for you, really.
It's pretty much just another work day.
Yeah, it's so sad.
I got these two pictures, and they were really badass, and they were wrapped well.
Don't tell me those are the only gifts you got. The gifts I got you.
Yes.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah. I aside from those, the last time I got a Christmas gift was like 10 years ago.
That's so weird. Christmas, I'm moving in reverse, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
So every year for me, Christmas has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and more elaborate presents and more extravagant things. Like every Christmas I've had in the last 10 years is bigger than the last one.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. See, I was trying to think of the last time I got a game for Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to say it was in the N64 era.
Oh my God.
That's
There was a gap for me, like Super Nintendo up through about till 3DS.
Yeah.
My mom would not buy video games for Christmas.
Yeah.
Because she said you get a Super Nintendo and you're never going to get games again. And I think I've said it on the show before, and we were like, why the fuck would we want something better than a Super Nintendo? That's impossible. Being the dumb children we were.
that.
And then when the
being said-
N64 came out, we were like, we were right. And then the rest came out, and we were like, shit.
That being said, the Super NES, that was pretty amazing.
That was kick-ass system.
Yeah.
We had all the great games like Wizard of Oz, Captain America and the Avengers.
I actually enjoy that game.
We had the best Kirby game, which is Dream Course.
The
We had-
laundromat near our house had the Captain America and the Avengers arcade
Mhm.
game, and I just remember the voiceovers in that were amazing.
Oh yeah.
Especially like the way that it would announce the players that you were playing as.
Mhm.
Like I don't know why, but the announcer sound pained when he would say them. Like Vision. It was like the Saturday Night Live announcer guy calling out the Avengers.
It sounded like it was like he was calling out for help from that person
Yeah.
with his dying breath.
Except for Captain America.
I don't remember.
Whenever he would call out Captain America, it was as if he had to say it as fast as possible. It was like Captain America, and it was amazing.
Maybe they're going to dub in another country for other countries. So they had to
Yeah.
say the American part real
Right?
short
Yeah.
to fit it. You know?
So when they did Spain, it was the same amount of sound used
Yeah.
up there.
So or even cheaper, they just cut out the word America for other countries. It's just Captain.
Yeah, I played the fuck out of that game.
But my Christmas has been going in reverse. So this year, 2 weeks before Christmas is when my Christmas
Because
started.
it was going in reverse. This year you got a Magnavox Odyssey 2.
Yeah, I have Benjamin Button Christmas disease. So
You got an Atari ST.
2 weeks before Christmas even is beginning, we're going to parties and getting gifts. And at this point, it's kind of split. Me and Courtney, we visit. I think we do 5 Christmases every year
Jesus.
because we're married and both of our parents are separated. Like her parents and my parents are
Yeah.
both separated. and now we have a child. So it used to be like, hey, we can't make it to Christmas. Oh, that sucks. Now it's like, hey, we can't make it to Christmas. Oh, well, we will move the party to a time that is convenient for you then.
To make sure that your child is there.
Because your child is the guest of honor at everything until she's about 4, and then people stop caring.
Right.
So we couldn't even get out of the stuff, like stuff we didn't want to go to. We'd be like, oh, we can't make it. No, we'll wait. No, everyone get out. We're not doing Christmas today, so they can't make it. We'll do it tomorrow. You know, and it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm grateful. I'm happy.
Right.
It's fun. It's festive. 2 weeks of it wears you the shit out.
I bet.
So we go to her grandma's Christmas, and she gets me a bunch of great gifts. And I'm like, that was so nice, you know. And because even people that she doesn't know are coming receive gifts. Like if for some reason you went with us to her Christmas, you would walk out of there with a gift. Everyone gets a gift. She buys extra gifts for people that she wasn't expecting. She goes, here's your gift. And every year it's a person or a friend of a friend or whatever that just came for funsies.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no. And she's like, you take this. You're like, okay, thanks so much. So we did that Christmas. We went out of town to her dad's for her dad's Christmas. Now, this was the Christmas.
Yeah.
This is the big one. Her dad spends a lot of money on Christmas, a lot. And he even spends money on me, you know, as an in-law.
Yeah.
So every year he buys biggest extravagant stuff. So this is the one we're excited about, of course. And yes, Christmas isn't about presents and whatever, but it's about presents.
It is.
So we're there for the presents.
Yeah.
And to visit and, you know, good times and family. Anyway, presents.
Yeah.
So I asked for an Xbox.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way. There's no, because every year he's like, hey, make me a Christmas list. They're list people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, here's a couple of games
Except
I want.
last year you got a spare Retron 5.
Yeah.
Because you needed a second one.
So 2 years ago, I'm like, all right, here's just a couple games I want, and then a book. I don't even remember. And he got all of it. He told Courtney, he was like, just buy everything on his entire list. And I was like, all right. So the next year, I'm like, okay, I want a Retron, and then a couple other kind of more pricey items. Everything on the list, everything, all the way down.
Jesus.
So this year, I was like, fine, an Xbox. I want an Xbox One for Christmas. And I got an Xbox One for Christmas from my father-in-law.
I was trying to think when you mentioned that what the last game system that I got for Christmas was.
Yeah.
And it was my N64.
Really?
That was the last time I got a game system for Christmas.
That's why they stopped. They realized how shitty it was after they bought it for you. And they're like, never again.
And that was 20 years ago. That was Christmas of 96.
My God, I'm old. We're so old.
Yeah.
So I got an Xbox.
Uh-huh.
And now I didn't get everything on my list. He toned it back a little bit this year. But I got an Xbox. I got in which we'll get into more in the Xbox because we're doing Halo this week.
Yeah.
But I also got River City Ransom, Tokyo Rumble, I think is the subtitle. And out of all the stuff I got, and I got a bunch of stuff. I got a bunch of games. I got a game console, all this shit. River City Ransom is like it's the best.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Nice.
And so I've been playing through it, and I've thoroughly been enjoying it. It perfectly encapsulates what made River City Ransom great, even with the silliness that comes along with it. Because I've played, well, of course, I've not played any of the Japanese Kunio-kun games, so I don't know like the sense of humor the game has in Japan. But I from what I gather, it's a little more serious.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm reading it wrong or what, but it seems a little more. It's just not as goofy. And in America, you're like punching like dudes and they're saying barf and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I was worried about is this would be a remake and it'd be real serious all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's completely ridiculous silliness all the time. It is River City Ransom, except they added in a ton of new abilities. They made the combat deeper, but still kept the same core. Like it's everything I wanted out of a River City Ransom sequel. And everything I thought I would never, ever get to see, because who makes a game like that anymore?
Right. It's in the 21st century.
Yeah. And then that happened. And the next month, Double Dragon 4 comes out. What the fuck is happening?
Fucking bizarre.
It's like someone woke up and they were like, hey, let's make good retro-inspired games that are fun.
Did you play the new Turbo CD game?
No, I've not.
Yeah, there's a new Turbo CD game now.
Like I can buy it on a disc?
No, you can just burn it to a disc. They published it for free to the internet.
Wait. They have other releases, right? They're like little puzzle games, right? What's it called?
Insanity. Yes.
That's the worst.
Yes.
That is the worst. Is it a good game?
Yeah.
It's
It's okay. It's for free. It's great.
They've made other stuff.
Yeah.
I know they have.
Yeah.
I can't remember the names of their other games.
I can't either.
Um,
but it's still worth, if you have a Turbo CD or PC Engine CD,
right.
it is worth downloading because it is free.
It is a free game.
And, it's a thing that you can play around with. On your
It's a
Turbo.
game and you can play it.
Yeah. You could even put it on a RetroPie.
Nice. Very nice. Other than that, I've been playing the most retro of games, which is board games.
Yeah.
I got board games for Christmas. I've been playing a shitload of board games the last few days. And this is around this time of year, I go into like these really obsessive modes for some reason. Like it's around like, it's always winter. And last year it was CRTs and a gaming cart.
Yeah.
That was my yearly obsession.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the year it was just normal. This year it's board games.
Yeah.
So I received 2 board games and an expansion board game. I got Talisman and the Dungeon expansion, which is a old reprint of like a classic fantasy themed board game.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't know how much you know about board games and the explosion of new tabletop and board games coming out and everything, but it's considered like old style. People be like, oh, that's old. No one plays those kind of games anymore. But I still thoroughly enjoy it. Playing a game where you roll dice and move around a board that many spaces, that's like taboo in board game circles now.
I still love that.
Yeah, but that's what Talisman is, and I love it.
Yeah.
Because everything else now is like, all right, first watch this 30-minute video, download the iPad app. You need to read the instructions
Just watch
4
Will
times.
Wheaton and his friends play it for 2 hours.
Right.
And that'll give you an idea.
And they're great systems once you learn them.
Right.
But for people that don't play board games all the time, like
Yeah.
we'll play it once and like, all right, we're going to play it again in 2 months,
Yeah.
on a board game night. And then we're like, shit, do you remember how to play? No, let's all watch this 37-minute video now.
Yeah. And I do love the complexities of modern board games. but,
Right.
man, it wears you down sometimes.
It's nice to have one like Talisman that the rules are relatively simple. You can bust it out and just roll dice, move your guy.
Right.
Oh, I fight an ogre. Oh, I got a sword. Oh, you're dead. I win.
As complex as I like to get into is the Civilization game.
Right.
And I will sit down and play an 8-hour game of Civilization every now and then with some friends so that we can all hate each other at the end.
Right. Why? Yeah, I mean, that's what board games are for.
But that doesn't mean that's something I want to do every day.
So the other game I got was Descent 2nd Edition. Descent Journey into Darkness I don't remember. It's Descent 2nd Edition. And I've been looking for a game to replace Dungeons and Dragons in my life because I don't have time to run or maintain games anymore, but I still very much like tabletop dungeon crawling,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
But I wanted something with a campaign and a story and like, this is why you're here and this is where you're going and this is what's happening.
Sure.
So I got Descent and have been thoroughly enjoying it. It's basically a campaign. So you take all these pre-assembled dungeon tiles, you make your dungeon, and then it's like, okay, this is what's happening. This is why you're here. And for 2-player play, normally one player has to play the overlords. They play the bad guys. There is an iPad app that you can download, and it plays the bad guys.
Nice.
So it's you and your friends playing against your iPad.
Nice.
And that's how I've been playing it. It's super fun. I've been getting really into it, and I've been like, I think this might be it. This might be the thing I can replace D&D with. Because D&D, it's like, hey, we want to have a night where we play D&D. All right, you're going to need to spend about 30 hours prepping for that and make sure everyone's up on the newest rules system and spend a couple hours rolling characters.
Yeah.
This is nice. Like, as long as I know the rules, I can break it out and we can play and have a D&D-esque experience.
Also my I have not played any tabletop RPGs more than one night that failed. So I can't speak from personal experience, but every time that I've observed friends playing D&D or something like D&D, there's always that one asshole who doesn't take it seriously.
Right. And it can get frustrating.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is like, we're here to play a game. When it's a board game thing,
right?
It's less of an issue.
Yeah, when you got the one asshole who's gonna ruin Monopoly for everyone, it's fine.
Yeah, it's
let him crash and burn.
Yeah,
and everyone else can keep playing.
But whenever it's something you've put 30, 40 hours of work into and some guy's not taking it seriously, you're like, this is my life.
Yeah. And when you're 80 hours in and Senior Gardakan decides to get raped by Boba Fett in the middle of the night.
That was highly specific.
I love that video so much. If you haven't watched Boba Fett rape Senior Gardakan in the middle of the night, you need to go find that video.
Oh, God.
It's the greatest.
So, my problem with Descent, and I am aware that I'm doing board game reviews right now on our retro video game show. Bear with me. because there's
some game crossover.
There's a story here. My problem with Descent is that you open the box, you pop all the little things out of the thing that's all fiddling, you take forever doing it.
Which is the most fun part of a new board game.
You take out the 45 miniatures or however many it comes with, the dice, the this, the cards, the that, the other cards, the big cards, little cards, medium-sized cards, this card. You know, you get it all out, and then you got to put it back in the box. And you're like, oh, shit. Talisman, it's like board comes out, perfect tray, everything aligned for all the different pieces.
Right.
Descent, it's like, shove it back in there now, idiot. So I started looking online. I Googled. I was like, this is a really popular board game. Surely someone else has been like, hey, what's the best way to put it all back in there? And then I'll find some dude that has a diagram that shows me where to put everything.
Right.
No, does not exist. Everyone's like, well, what you do is you buy a tackle box and you buy a hanging file folder and you carry those to your game night. And I'm like, I'm not that into Descent. I don't need a kit for Descent.
Yeah. I've always just been buy a box of those snack size Ziploc bags with every board game that I get and just store everything that way.
Well, that's how I was doing it. But even then, it's like you're cramming all the shit in there.
Right.
And I was like, there has to be a better way. So I found plans to construct a interlocking series of trays built to specifically house these individual Descent game pieces.
And it's a Kickstarter.
Out of what is called foam core, which is poster board with foam in the middle.
Right.
And so I find there's it's meticulous blueprints. And I'm like, this is my new thing. I'm going to build foam core inserts for Descent. This is my crafty thing. I go out and I spend $60 on supplies. I get rhinestones to put on all the search tokens in the game so they're like sparkly.
Yeah.
I went and bought wooden hearts to replace the cardboard cutout heart tokens, painted them by hand with a tiny paintbrush, and drew little 5s on the 5 markers.
And every time you start a project like this, your wife gets the same look on her face, doesn't she?
Yeah. And so I'm like, all right, now I'm going to do these plans. So my friend brings me a metal ruler. I get a box cutter. I start cutting foam core. I am horrible at cutting shit like straight and not, you know. So immediately Courtney's like, what are you fucking doing? And I was like, it doesn't fucking work. And I'm over there like pinning shit and gluing shit and trying to make these trays. And I'm like, it doesn't work. I don't know what I'm doing. And so she's like, just let me do it. Just stop and let me do it. And she's like, what is this? And she holds up the tray I did build. And it looks like a second grader did it. It's all like sideways and glue's dripping off of it. And it doesn't fit in the box. And I'm like, fine, you do it. And she can't do it either. Because this is really meticulous interlocking trays and everything's measured in millimeters.
Yeah.
And
I've got a friend who is perfect at that. He was the one who made my foam insert for my Contra cart. And like he showed me his toolbox for work, and everything is down to the micrometer. And it's foam that is cut out so that every tool perfectly goes in there.
Yeah.
So it is possible. There are people who can do it.
Because I watched a video of it, and this guy's like, yeah, you just cut it here. Box cutter, perfect to the millimeter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how? What? Like I'm cutting up against a ruler, and then all of a sudden I'll just start like going to the right and then swerve back to the left.
Yeah.
So finally, I said, fuck it. I don't need your fucking plans. I'll make my own homebrew foam core box insert. So again, I cut haphazardly. I'm not even measuring anymore. I'm just cutting shit. And I'm like, that looks about like a rectangle. And I'm just gluing shit together and pinning it. And it's again, this like hobbled together, like drippy glue, uneven shit's like ripped off of it on this side, like tray.
Like somebody's going to be throwing some Angry Birds at it later.
And now it's like 2:30 in the morning. And I'm like, it's perfect. It looks great. And then I put it all in there and I'm like, that's nice, but I wish I had a top tray. And I do it again, and I build a top tray for it. And it's like, it's not low enough to all fit in the box. So I'm just like hacking at it sideways with a box cutter after it's all glued together. And then I'm just like scraping the blade along the top to rip the foam off of it so it'll all fit down in there. But I get it. I get it all perfectly situated. I get it all to fit in the box. And I'm like, that I feel accomplished. And I'm like, I fucking did it.
And you realize that half of the pieces are not in the box anymore.
Well, I put all the tokens in and I was like, it's perfect. And I looked over and there's a huge pile of tokens and I was like, shit. But it's all in there. It's perfect. My craft is over. And now I'm shopping for expansions.
Naturally.
And I'm like, well,
so that they can also not fit.
Right. So they can also not fit in the box.
Yeah.
And then whenever I take them out of their box, they will not fit back in the box that they came in.
Yeah.
But I've been playing it and the game itself is great. I highly recommend it for co-op play, for regular play. So it's just a really great game, and I've been thoroughly enjoying it. With a friend who traditionally always wanted to play D&D, but just never could get into it, and it was too many rules, and he didn't have time, it was too persnickety, and he's been thoroughly enjoying it as well.
That's how I feel about D&D too.
Yeah, so it's nice to have the perspective of me, someone who still actively plays D&D, and someone who's always kind of been interested, but didn't really want to fuck with it because it's a bunch of work, and we're both thoroughly enjoying this game. So it's been a lot of fun. I won't go into Talisman because I know people will probably freak out if I spend 30 minutes talking about board games. But if you want to hear more board games, let us know because I will talk some board games.
Yeah. I still think we should play the Dragon Quest board game at some point.
You have a translation, right?
Yeah, I've got a translation that I downloaded from the internet.
We should totally play that. We'll do a board game night, and I'll bring Talisman, and then we'll play your weird Japanese junk.
We'll play little slimes.
Are you slimes in the game?
I don't know. There are slime tokens, and there's a little racetrack for them to go around on.
Oh my god, it's
adorable. Cute. There's also tokens for other monsters from the series, like a green dragon and a golem and shit.
Nice.
And they're adorable.
Are they colored appropriately?
Yeah.
See, you don't see, like my board game, it's like they're all red for masters and white for the minions. And I'm like, well, this is boring. Yeah. So now my next thing is I don't want to, but I know I'm going to paint 40 miniatures for it. It's going to take me like a year. But I'm going to have a kick-ass Descent game.
The electronics boutique I used to work at was close to a Games Workshop.
Mm-hmm.
We'd get people come in and they would have just spent $200 on Warhammer figures.
Which gets you almost no Warhammer figures.
Yeah, which is like 3. And then they'd come in and they'd be like, I hear this game's okay, but it's no Warhammer. I'm like, that's cool. They're like, I'm going to spend all night painting my Warhammer figures.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But if I don't paint them right, they're not regulation, and I should just throw them in the fucking trash.
That's what fucking gets me about Warhammer. It's not that you have to paint your miniatures. I understand that. You're going for an aesthetic.
You have to paint them by regulation,
right?
Or they're trash.
And every game you play, the way your miniatures are painted is part of the scoring.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally a game about, like, I painted this tiny guy. He shoots your tiny guy. But your tiny guy is painted way purpler than mine. So he wins.
Yeah.
I've never, as much as we shouldn't disparage any kind of nerd, ever, Warhammer nerds are a special breed of nerds. I
respect them for their commitment.
Yeah, their dedication.
But
I mean, basically,
I could never, ever, ever do that.
Basically, to even get kind of into Warhammer, you have to abandon your life. It's like becoming a monk.
Right.
You have to abandon your normal life and finances to dedicate it to Warhammer.
Yes.
So they're like, I always considered Warhammer nerds like they're the top tier. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the most specific and nerdy as you could possibly get.
Yes.
And then like a notch below them is D&D, and then like board games, and then it goes down. Yeah. There's a whole scale.
Yeah.
I've got a chart.
Yeah. My position on that chart looks like a sine graph. It kind of goes up and down depending on.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, as it would, Anyway, I also got Valkyria Chronicles, the Steelbook edition for PS4. Have not even turned on my PS4. I've been so busy with Christmas and putting decorations up and down and family over and food. And oh my God, I ate so many tamales this week. I thought I was going to hurl. Courtney's family's thing is every Christmas they do Mexican food.
Yeah.
And at first I was skeptical. I was like, yeah, but it's Christmas. You want to do like a ham or stuffing, like traditional Christmas food. And then they showed up with a huge tray of pork tamales. And I was like, this is a great tradition. Right? I love this. Yeah. So we just now finished a giant tray of the greasiest, just horrible for you, heart clogging tamales you've ever seen. Like, taking them out from the fridge, they're like caked in grease. And I was like, I'm going to put this in my body for 4 days solid now. Anyway. I know you didn't really have a Christmas, but did you have anything?
Because on Christmas Day, I knew it was going to be slow as hell at work, so I brought my NES Classic with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a bunch of new coworkers who are all younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like early 20s.
Ugh. And they say things like fam and savage, and you just feel old and don't know what's happening.
If they do, I don't let them say it near me. But no,
I think you hit an age where you just automatically tune that stuff out. Yeah. And that's why it always seems like old people aren't listening.
Right.
It's just that they can't hear most of the words you're saying.
Yeah. They refuse to acknowledge your whatever retarded language you're spitting out. But so I hooked up my NES Classic, and there's a guy at work who's a big Smash Brothers fan.
Right.
And like, he is meticulous about his Smash Brothers. Like he will tell you exactly what frame you need to dodge to perfect whatever. And so he comes over. He's like, "Oh, is that the NES Classic?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I was letting him try it out, and he started playing all these games, and then he's telling me as he's playing each one that it's his first time playing it. And like Kirby, he immediately got into. Like he was on top of it because he's played modern Kirby games, and Kirby's Adventure is very indicative of
even
where
if
the
you've
series
played
is
standard
going.
platformers, you get it. You get Kirby. You know what his powers are. You're done. That's all you need.
Then he goes into to Balloon Fight, and he's like a balloon fight master. And I'm like, what are you? And he's like, I've played a lot of Balloon Fight. Like, how have you never played Kirby's Adventure, but you've played a lot of Balloon Fight?
Well, now I know that the Smash Brothers games, I know at least the newest one, they include that Masterpieces section
yeah,
where
but
you
it never
can
has
play.
Balloon Fight in it.
Does it not?
No.
I mean, of course, why would they include it? It's not a good game, but
Right. Well, also, there's no character from Balloon Fight. Well, I guess the villager from Animal Crossing can do the balloons now,
yeah.
but that's as close as you get.
Have you never had a balloon fight guy? You know who I'd like to see? Balloon Kid. She should be in the next Smash Brothers game.
And then he jumps into Kid Icarus, and he's like, I've played a ton of Kid Icarus on my 3DS. So he just like is a master.
Well,
at
wait,
Kid Icarus.
Kirby's Adventure. Well,
is also a 3DS.
also on 3DS,
classic.
but Balloon Fight is not.
No.
What's on Virtual Console 3DS? Probably.
Maybe,
I
probably.
can't imagine it's not.
And then he goes into Mario 2. Never played Mario 2 in his life, and he's like, what do I even do with this mushroom? And I'm like, you jump on it and you pick it up. He's like, that's just counterintuitive. And I'm like, no, everything in Mario 2, you jump on it and you pick it up.
Yeah.
He's like, I've played so much Mario in my life, none of this makes sense. And I'm like, looking back, none of Mario 2 makes sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense then. It still doesn't make sense.
I mean, like, it's so ingrained in my mind that
right, not a bad game. Makes no sense.
But yeah, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. And just watching him play through it, he's like, what do I even Birdo? And I'm like, you throw her eggs at her. And he's like, why? Like, I don't know.
Why would that harm her? She's shooting them.
You just do.
It's exciting to see people play these games for the first time and enjoy them. And we've talked about it before. That's why I like Classic Corner so much. Because Andrew's not played any of this shit. And it's so fun to listen to someone.
It's so fun to listen to someone else hating Ice Climbers as much as I have for 30 years.
That's what's exciting. It's like this, it's this outsider art thing where it's this person who's never experienced it, and you get to watch them come in and like a zoo exhibit, be like, oh, look, now he's playing Balloon Fight. What the fuck? Why is he so good at it?
Yeah. But yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah.
And several other people up there gave it a try, and watching people like play Mario 3 and for me, a lot of those NES games, that is the magic of Christmas for me, because when I look back at my childhood, it was the NES. We would hook up the NES. Like I got the Christmas for NES back in '87.
You get the NES for Christmas.
Yeah, words.
You got your teeth wet.
Yeah. Shut up, dick. So I got my NES for Christmas back in like 87, 88, somewhere in there. Yeah. Fucking 30 years ago. And we got Mario 2 for Christmas one year. We got Mega Man 5 for Christmas one year. So for like a 5-year period, it was just NES and NES games every year for Christmas. And so that was the Christmas morning thing.
Right.
Was we would have an NES and we would hook it up and we would just stare at the TV for 5 hours. And so playing an NES on Christmas, it did.
It's special.
It felt pretty magical.
I really wish I remembered being that little, because I was tiny at the time. But because for so long, it like 85 to 92 was really the lifespan of the NES as like a product on store shelves. And
really, the NES was still pretty prominent on store shelves, I would say, until 93 or 94.
Because even that's a long ass cycle.
Oh yeah,
like that's massive.
Yeah,
you just don't see this. I mean, and plus we know at this point too.
Yeah, the PS3 is 10, 11 years old now.
But we know to be looking forward to the next console now. At that time, it was just like, oh, we have an NES and a refrigerator and a washer.
Yeah.
And we use it till it breaks.
Right.
Why? What do you mean the new washer came out and the new Nintendo came out? Why? What do we? Ours works fine, you know? So to be able to be in that era, because I mean, you know how it is now. After like 2 or 3 years, you already have people like 2 years in, I'm not going to buy this. I'm waiting till the next console generation. You know,
we had some before that because I mean there was the Atari and the Intellivision, the Coleco, and all
right?
that
But
shit.
the NES was a whole new thing.
Like it really, it felt different enough that we still had our Atari. Like we
Right.
didn't get rid of our Atari because we got the Nintendo.
Right.
It wasn't a replacement.
It was like a tire swing, and then you buy a
thing.
swing set. You don't get
Right.
rid of the tire swing. It's still
Yeah.
there. It's shitty no one uses it because you got a
Right.
swing set,
Yeah.
but it's there.
But yeah, so it was a new thing, and it felt different.
Yeah.
Whereas everything else felt like an upgrade replacing the previous one, which I could never do. I could never replace those.
When I was at GameStop, I sold. I really wish I could go back and kick my own ass when I was about 17. Although that's probably a normal feeling, wanting to kick your 17-year-old used ass.
Yeah.
But I sold like so much.
Sold nothing. When I worked there, my manager got so angry at me.
Mhm.
He was always like, "Why don't you trade in any games?
Mhm.
I know you buy games all the time. Why don't you trade in games? Like they're my babies. And I need them. I need them."
Yeah.
And it helped that I had one coworker that was actually 2 or 3 coworkers during the time I was there that were also collectors.
Yeah.
And we would constantly like try to find new ways to apply the price stickers in a way that would be easier to peel off later. And we'd be like, if we preserve this much of the backing, then the price sticker comes off cleaner. Yeah. And we were like masters of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an obsession in our store to have price stickers that would not stick.
You know what I love? Whenever you'd find the occasional game from GameStop and they'd put the sticker on the paper underneath the plastic on the outside of the DVD case.
We got a transfer from this asshole store in Arlington one time. And it was like 200 PS1 games because they couldn't sell them there, and we sold them like fucking hotcakes.
Yeah.
All of them had their price stickers on the fucking disc.
Oh.
On the goddamn disc.
God.
And I was like, what? And it was like they had just changed out the price sticker system at EB at the time. They went from like the price gun that like would easily peel off to these thermal printed bullshit stickers.
Oh, yeah, the big rounded rectangle ones.
No, they weren't rectangle. They were square. They were rounded squares. I've still got a couple that will never,
and they're
ever,
like,
ever
and they're
come
like,
off.
because like now they're kind of lacquered on the front. They come off easier. You're talking about the ones that were like, there were more paper on the front.
Yeah.
It was just like paper with adhesive, and it ripped the shit off everywhere.
Yeah. And the adhesive was I don't know what it is, but it's the same thing they use to keep steel rivets together in high-end machinery.
It was just Bondo.
It would never, ever, ever come off.
Right.
Ever. And it was on the fucking disc.
Mm.
And so none of them worked. Like
Right.
we tried them. We'd put them in our PS2, and you just hear
because
the disc was like trying to spin, but half of it was heavier than the other half.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were all just garbage.
Now, to be fair, the PS2 has it has a bad grip on the disc, which that pisses me off.
The PS1, the original model PS1, is a little better about that because it had that. I don't remember what the hell the center of the ring.
Yeah,
it would grip the goddamn disc. It was great, but those discs were still done.
I've been burning PS2 games, and I bought a new ream of DVDs to burn PS2 games, and they're too slick on the top. So it tries to spin my disc, and it's just like, I'm like, oh, that's not going to do it, is it? Alrighty then. But
also, I fired up my RetroPie last night because I got this weird desire to play my Commodore, but I was too lazy to hook up my Commodore. So I was like, I'll just set it up on the RetroPie. It's compatible.
Compatible should be in air quotes there.
Yes.
Compatible, ***, little tiny cross.
Yeah, there is an emulator for the C64 that is on the RetroPie, and it's not installed by default. You have to install it. So I'd forgotten how to go and install an extra emulator. So I had to remind myself how to set up the RetroPie for that.
Right.
And the emulator actually works pretty well. I forgot that I also had a custom settings config for my emulation station. So I had to go through and edit all that shit to add it all in. So it was a half-hour ordeal just to get it to recognize the disk images.
Right.
And the problem with Commodore emulation is it's too accurate. It is an accurate emulation of that particular processor, and that particular floppy disk drive. So I tell it I want to play some Jumpman or some Alf
Right.
or whatever horrible Commodore game I'm wanting to play.
Mm.
And then the screen freezes for 3.5 minutes.
Because it's loading.
Because it's loading the disc.
Oh my God.
Fortunately, there's an option that will emulate the sound effects that the floppy disk makes while it loads so that you know it's loading. Because otherwise...
Because it's grinding.
It's 3.5 minutes of silence.
Yeah.
And frozen screen.
Yeah.
And you don't know what happened. And if the emulation menu didn't come up, you would think that the whole system had just died. So you turn on the sound effects, and then you tell it to start a ROM, and you hear...
You know what's great is that means someone had to go record that. And actually, it's probably not even a recording. It's probably some like engineered MIDI version of it.
I think it is, because it doesn't sound the same as my dying Commodore 1541 floppy drive.
Someone literally sat there and they're like, I'm going to make a MIDI version of the sound it makes when you read a Commodore 64 floppy.
And
his wife said, Steve, I'm leaving you. And he said, I don't care. I have to do this.
The thing is, if someone is a sound engineer and a Commodore owner, they can do it because that sound has been ground into your mind to a point to where you can recall it at any moment in your life.
Yeah.
It'll be like your daughter's laughter, your the music playing during your first kiss,
sound of a dial-up modem,
the sound of a loading Commodore 1541 floppy drive. It's awful.
God.
And so I played a handful of games and then immediately regretted that because I still have some nostalgia for the games, and there's some still solid games on the Commodore, and then there's some horrible ports.
Yeah.
The Commodore was not as powerful as any other system on the market at the time. And some people thought it was a good idea to port NES games to the Commodore. Ninja Turtles, Castlevania,
I've
Contra,
seen those. I've not seen Contra.
Metal Gear. They're all horrible ports. And let's not forget the Commodore controller only has one button.
Metal Gear with one button on the Commodore. How is that?
Well, you get to use the keyboard for parts of it. Any menu interaction.
How nice.
Yeah.
How so very nice.
Look, with the Commodore, you had a 2-foot cable between your controller and your keyboard.
You weren't going anywhere anyway.
And so with my RetroPie, I had to pull out my wireless keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got I had my 360 controller plugged in on my keyboard. And my 360 controller has plenty of buttons. I could have emulated half the goddamn keyboard.
Pretty much.
But no. So I had that one button.
So you're sitting in front of a RetroPie.
Yeah, with a
keyboard and an Xbox 360 controller playing Commodore 64 games.
Yeah.
That's what you chose to do with your day.
Well, I stopped. I stopped that because I realized that it was... I still enjoy Jumpman.
Right.
Like, Jumpman, still fun. There's Impossible Mission, still an absolute blast. I still recommend that game. It's still fun as hell. Like, it's weird. And the voice samples on the Commodore... A computer system made in 1982, the same year I was born.
Sounds terrifying.
With voice samples.
What's weird is that because most of them, at least it was the style at the time, to have modulators that you would buy and plug into your system, and then it could do voice.
No, the Commodore had a really ahead of its time sound system. And so it had these voice samples when you'd play Impossible Mission, and it was great because you just start the game and be like, "Welcome, stay a while, stay forever." And then like all other sound has to stop while it does it because it can't handle that.
Both, yeah.
But it's real grainy and it sounds kind of like the old Gauntlet arcade machine.
Right.
So it's cheesy old arcadey voice samples, but it's still impressive.
It's fun
from a 1982 computer.
Yeah.
And then for some reason I got a wild hair up my ass. I wanted to play some Ys 3, and I wanted to justify the reason why I always play the turbo version, so I decided to play all the versions on my RetroPie. So I played the Super NES version, which I haven't played since it came out. And it looks amazing, but there's something weird about the frame rate or something. All the enemies are way faster than you can possibly react to.
Yeah.
If you walk into the mine,
Maybe it's a PAL version and they just
no, it's the same version that I have on my Super NES. I could pop it in my Retron, but you walk into the mines, and if you're not already holding attack, you die,
Jesus.
and then you have to start over.
Yeah, it's like Dark Souls. Great,
Right. Only with no instant save, no auto save.
Right.
And fortunately, you can save anywhere in E3, which is good because you have to do that after every enemy. Because any enemy that touches you will hover over you just long enough to instantly kill you.
Yeah.
All your HP gone.
Ugh.
And then I tried the NES version with fan translation. And no, that game should not have been on the NES. Then I tried the Genesis version, which is actually a really solid port. Plays well, sounds great for a Genesis game.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the translation. Like the translation is pretty bad. And then I got to the item shop, and my options were buy mirror, buy harb. Harb. They couldn't spell herb. And every screen that references it calls it a harb. On your menu, it's a harb. In the shop, do you want to buy another harb? And it was just killing me.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't stop. I just stayed on the screen with the harb for like 15 minutes.
And then you had to quit.
Yeah.
And go
then I
play
had
the
to
good
quit.
version.
Then I played the good version.
God. Well, anyway, we probably should get into our topic at ham. At ham?
At harb.
All right, at Harb. We'll get into the topic at Harb. Last week we did tease that we were going to be doing Metal Gear this week, but we were not able to get the guest that we want because his internet went out in his whole apartment complex.
In all of Japan.
Thanks, Japan.
Yeah.
God. Get better internet, Japan.
At work, I do tech support over the phone. And we have a gentleman, Mr. Toyonaga, who will call from Tokyo. Anytime there is any problem, he has to tell me it affects all of Japan. Whether it does or not. He just wants it to be a priority ticket.
Right.
So every time he'll be like, we lost internet all of Japan. Like, I don't think all of Japan lost its internet, sir. All of Japan. No internet. All of Japan. Like, no. Like, how many people? 3 people are of Japan.
You should just be like, you checked? Have you checked? You checked all of it.
Yeah.
You check everywhere?
Right?
Just check. Check again. We'll wait.
So yeah,
we'll wait here.
Anytime I hear of any issue in Japan, my first thought is, I bet it's all of Japan.
Anyway, so in lieu of that, we do have, it's kind of a last minute topic, which is why we're doing it a little bit later in the show. But I have been playing, I did download the Master Chief Collection for my Xbox One, which is 90% of the reason I wanted an Xbox One, because as much as I'm not a shooter fan, I do love the Halo games. I do like the narrative. I like the lore. I find it to be an interesting game. I like the.
So now you're going to download the Cortana app on your iPhone and set up your Xbox One.
Does that work?
Yeah.
So that's the thing?
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Also, if you have a Windows 10 install, the Cortana app will sync between your Xbone and your Windows 10 and everything, and you can give commands to everything from your phone. Anyway.
So I downloaded Master Chief Collection. I've been playing the first Halo game. I want to go through all of them in order, and if I know if I start with the later one, going back to the earlier one's going to be too tough.
Right.
And Halo was an especially exciting game for me. I remember the first time I played it, my friend got an Xbox, and it was back at the time when you're like, oh, you bought one of those weird Xbox things, huh? What's that like?
But there was still the mindset of Xbox as the enemy stepping in on the video game turf.
Yeah. It was a strange time.
Yeah.
And he was like,
years ago.
And he was like, I got this game Halo. I had never heard of Halo.
Right.
Now, Halo, for people that don't know, for people that don't know, Halo started as a Mac game.
It was supposed to be a Mac game.
Yeah, supposed to be a Mac game because it was based off of their previous games, which are why it's escaping me.
Yeah.
Something Runner?
Marathon.
It's not like you Runner, you got it.
Yeah. It took me a second, and I got there.
The Marathon games were like proto Halo, so Halo was going to be a Mac game, and then guess what? Instead, it's going to come out as a Microsoft home video game console exclusive,
and then later ported to Windows, not Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do love the first Halo. He called me and he was like, hey, you got to come over and play this game Halo. I went over there, we sat down, we played through the entire campaign in one night, co-op. And it was just a blast. It was such a fun game, such a fun time. And it was also the first time, because everyone goes on about, well, you know, GoldenEye is whenever FPSs came to consoles and all this. And I would argue that Halo is when it really happened.
Yeah, I would say that GoldenEye was when the idea of couch multiplayer FPS started.
Right.
Halo was what did it right.
Right, exactly. So it was this thing where, yes, you can get shooters on consoles, but it's a crappier experience, always.
Well, I would say GoldenEye wasn't crappier than the alternative on PC.
True.
But really the genre grew up by the time that Halo came out. Because we had seen Quake, we had seen Unreal Tournament, and then Halo.
So it was a shooter in the style of shooters that are on everything else that are on PC. You know, so it came out and it had full co-op, split screen co-op, which that was a big deal, especially for that game. And it is as powerful as that game was on the Xbox. It had fantastic multiplayer. I don't think you can play the original Halo online in any way. I don't think you could.
Yes, you could. Only on PC, not on Xbox.
Right. But I mean, not the Xbox version. You gotta wait for because the PC version was way later, wasn't it?
It was like a year and a half, 2 years later.
Yeah.
Microsoft had not launched the Xbox Live service until a year and a half, 2 years into the Xbox's life, and back then there weren't update patches.
Yeah.
So there was no way to play the early games online.
Yeah. So I've been playing through Halo, and what I love about the Master Chief Collection, and this is, keep in mind, I'm playing the game way later after it came out because everyone hated it when it came out and it got all this shit, and apparently it was terrible. But it seems relatively fixed for me. Everything is working fine. After the 65 gigabyte download, which I was going to get it physical, but I got it for $9 on eBay, and I was like, $9 for 4 games. Okay, that was weird.
Okay,
nice. Weekly audio fuck up. Yeah. I hope it came through on the recording like that. Otherwise, people are going to think we're fucking idiots. Well, they just stopped talking for a minute, and then they started making weird chipmunk noises. Anyway, for $9, yeah, I'm going to get it digital.
Right. Yeah.
Now, my favorite feature of Master Chief Collection so far is that when I'm playing, I don't know if it works in the other games, but if I'm playing the original Halo, which has redone graphics and everything, it looks great.
Right.
That you can definitely tell that it's still an original Xbox game. Yeah, because they didn't overhaul the engine or anything. Like, they just gave it a new coat of paint and released it, which is enough for me. That's fine. So when you're playing it, you can hit the select button or whatever it's called on the Xbox One. The back button.
Back button.
But it's two little squares. How is it back? Yeah, anyway, you can hit the back button.
Oh wait, no. On the Xbox One, it's now the menu button.
But the other one is the 3 lines. I don't even know what the
menu. It's
the squares button.
I don't know what
you hit the
called.
button with the 2 squares.
I still go by the old Xbox terminology, so they're still back and start to me.
Anyway, you hit the select button on your Xbox One.
Better than the black and white button.
Oh my god, that was the dumbest.
Fuck
anyway,
Microsoft.
It will flip the graphics on the fly mid game to the original graphics.
Nice.
And you can just flip. I mean, you can like rapid fire flip back and forth if you want to give yourself a seizure. And it from the perspective of someone who enjoys retro games, who enjoys seeing how games evolve over time and remakes and all this. It's so much fun to be able to flip back and forth all the time. Yeah. And I spend so much of my time looking at stuff and going, all right, I wonder what the original looked like. And then I flip it and I'm like, oh, whoa. And then I flip it back and I'll stare at it for a minute. And I had a friend over for while I was playing some of it and he was like, okay, now flip it. Now flip it back. Look at that thing and flip it. Okay, now flip it over. So we're just spending all of our time flipping the graphics back and forth. I had forgotten how much I really do enjoy the Halo games.
Yeah.
And again, it's
so you've been without an Xbox console for what?
Yeah,
7 years now.
This is my first one. The last time I had an Xbox was when Reach came out, Halo Reach. I don't remember when that was, but it's been several years.
Yeah,
and for years I was like,
that was a 360 back when the 360 was still kind of on top.
It was because Reach was a big deal when it came out. Everyone lost their minds over it. Halo is one of the few games I've done midnight launches for, excited for. Let's have a party midnight launch was Halo 2.
Nice.
But I was thinking about it, and I was like, why does this game's gameplay grab me so much? Because I would never say it's a par for the course shooter, but everything, whenever I look at it now, I'm like, everything does this stuff. There's a tons of weapons and there's a variety of enemies and everything. I think it's a game that has insisted on always still having bright colors, which is so hard.
Yeah, especially in the modern FPS.
And I was trying to think, well, I like the sci-fi and I like the mythos and the story. Like I think it's a cool mythos, like the ring planets and the Covenant. It's all really neat. And then I was like, well, I mean, it's probably kind of the same as like all the other first-person sci-fi shooters, which there are none. I couldn't think of one.
Oh, I guess technically Half-Life is sci-fi.
It's a different kind of sci-fi, though.
It's more modernish alien thing.
Because I was trying to think. Because I mean, when I sit down and play it, I'm like, why is this different than all the other games like this? And it's like there really aren't. There's not. I mean, I'm sure someone's gonna write in and be like, you forgot, whatever. Yeah. I get it, but nothing. There's nothing. It's all Call of Duty. It's all Battlefield. Yeah. It's all. I mean, even now, Halo is still a big deal. Oh, yeah. Halo 5 was still a big deal, and it's still going on. And as far as I know, they're gonna make a 6th one. I haven't played the 5th one. I don't know how it ended. If it's like, all right, now we're gonna file for bankruptcy.
Move over to Destiny.
Yeah, Destiny. There's one. That's a sci-fi shooter,
which is also made by Bungie.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
There's just not.
Yeah.
There's not one.
Yeah.
But I've been thoroughly enjoying the game. Now that you let me borrow a controller, I will be playing some co-op on it. Yeah. I'm excited for Halo 2. I'm excited to finish Halo 1 to get to Halo 2. And I've spent so many hours in Halo 1 in multiplayer in Blood Gulch as the only player just driving warthogs around.
Yeah.
Because I've learned over time that we weren't the only group of people that did this, but me and my friends, we would get together and we would just go to the Blood Gulch map and just race warthogs. Yeah. This is what we did. Yeah. We'd make games of it. Or like, okay, you have to drive your warthog and I have to shoot you with the tank. Or you have to do this and then I got to throw a sticky grenade. And we would just, it was like pretend, but in a game.
Yeah.
And so whenever I was by myself, I'd practice my warthog driving because I had to get good at it to win the races that we would have.
I was already in college when the Xbox came out and Halo came out. So everyone that I knew, their multiplayer games were how high can you launch the warthog?
I'm sure we've played that one.
that was the consistent game. It was either standard kill each other or how high can you launch the warthog? Mm-hmm. That was it. That was the only games in Halo, apparently.
I've always been a huge fan of the campaigns. I play through them many, many times and with multiple difficulty levels and hidden items. Like it's one of the few games that I feel still has like hidden items in its levels. Yeah. Like they're still big and they're open enough that you can run around and find shit. Like as far as I played, which was Reach, and I think I played 4. I borrowed a 360. I don't remember how I played it, but I think I've played some of 4, which I think was after Reach, right? 3.
I am not an expert on the Halo franchise.
I wish I hadn't. I should have got my iPad. Anyway, it's one of those games where you can still it's still open a little bit, which I think is it feels like a remnant of like 90s FPS game design, which is a good remnant. Yeah. I enjoy it, but you just don't see that anymore.
It does feel like the last remnant of classic FPS design.
Like everything's very much what is the big spectacle we can put on and attach QuickTime events to. It's like playing a movie. Like Halo is very much not like playing. Right. It's still, at least as far as I played, which was Reach and 4, it's still, okay, gameplay, here's a cutscene. Gameplay, here's a cutscene. Which is, again, very traditional FPS design and the way that I enjoy my games to be,
See, I, like many people at the time, thought buying an Xbox. Mm-hmm. Like I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to support Microsoft getting into the game industry. Because 5 years earlier, I had already been like, I'm not going to support Sony getting into the game industry. This is Nintendo and Sega's business. And then 5 years after that, I'm like, this is Nintendo, Sega, and Sony's business.
Yeah. And then after that, you're like, this is Nintendo and Sony's business.
Right. So after the Dreamcast was officially announced as dying.
Yeah.
And then Sega announced a bunch of games on the Xbox. I was like, I'll consider it.
Right.
And then they said, oh, there will be a new Panzer Dragoon. And I was like, how much is an Xbox?
The game that got me was Mech Assault. So I was hooked on it early on because Mech Assault was, if not a launch game, early.
It was at least a year or two in.
Was it really?
It was after Live already launched.
Oh, that's what I was thinking because Live came out and then I was like, oh, Mech Assault and it's on Live. Let's get this shit.
Yeah, so for me, Panzer Dragoon and Steel Battalion were the games that I bought my Xbox for.
Steel Battalion.
Yeah. Had to have that fucking controller.
Oh my god.
I love weird controllers. Anyway, so I got my Xbox and everybody was like, you gotta get Halo. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, maybe. Like, no, you gotta get Halo.
Yeah.
So first I had imported a Japanese controller because they hadn't released the smaller controller over
the
here.
S was the S always standard in Japan?
Yeah. From day one, it was always standard. So
We got what do they call it? The Duke.
the Duke,
controller.
which I always called the hamburger controller because you hold it like a big old hamburger.
I liked
And-
Duke, but not Duke like Duke, but like I'm gonna go take a Duke.
Yeah,
so
like
it worked. It worked fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay.
So we had like my system came with a Duke because that's what was available.
I keep thinking about shit.
and I had a Type S controller from Japan, and so I borrowed Halo from work. At the time, I was still working in the game store,
Right.
and I brought it home. I did not get into it at all. I was like, I can't. My fingers can't. This, and my friend was like, "You got to try it on the Duke. It's better on the Duke."
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I pull out the old controller, and I'm like, "No, this is somehow worse. I can't reach anything.
Yeah,
all of this is terrible." And I just assumed that I was not good at the game and I would never be able to play it.
Right.
And so I just didn't buy it, didn't care about it. I was living with my girlfriend and her best friend, and her friend rented it like 8 times from the Blockbuster to play on my Xbox. She loved it. And then the PC version came out. I was like, oh, I can play Quake and Unreal and all that shit on my PC. I'll try that.
Mm-hmm.
So I buy the PC version of Halo because you couldn't really rent a PC game.
Right.
So I get that, and I'm playing it. I'm really getting into it. I'm like, this is actually really good, and there's a good story, and this is fun. And it played like shit on my computer because my computer was out of date. But I had just helped my girlfriend build the new computer. So she installs it on hers. I never see the disc again because she learned she could play Halo online.
Yeah.
And that's all she did. All the time. Like I would come home from work, and if she wasn't playing Animal Crossing, she was playing Halo. That was her life.
Right.
And I'd be like, hey, you want to like watch a movie? Nope. Halo. Like, okay, cool. So it just completely soured the brief, nice taste of Halo that I had had.
Right.
And so when Halo 2 came out, I was like, no, fuck Halo. and then the PC version came out, and they're like, good, but you'll be able to play it. I'm like, no, fuck it. And it requires Windows Vista. No, fuck it. Fuck it in its ass. And then I started dating someone named Halo.
Oh, God.
And so then the jokes became inevitable, and everybody would be like, hey, do you like Halo? I'd be like, no, well, I like the person, but not
the
fuck
game
all
because
this.
it's dumb. Oh, damn.
And then I had to hear some kids talk about Halo at a store, and they'd be like, Halo's dating Metroid. And I'd be like, oh, God damn it. Well, fuck everyone. Fuck everything about this. And it just completely soured everything about the franchise for me, and I've never gone back to give it another chance.
Now, to be fair, the first Halo starts very slow. And for the first good chunk of the game, it's a corridor shooter.
Yeah.
And
which I'm okay with. I just can't play an FPS with a controller.
Right. But I mean, even people that did like corridor shooters at the time, it's like, all right, here's another corridor shooter. And you have to play through a good chunk of the game to get to the first like open area.
Yeah.
And then the game keeps opening up
Right.
and it introduces vehicles very slowly and starts bringing those in.
You know, a great example of how perception of Halo changed so rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it first came out, everybody just tried the campaign,
Right.
and it was thought of as okay, mediocre, not great. And then within a couple of weeks, people started trying multiplayer, and that's when it picked up. A great way to observe this change in perception is the Penny Arcade from the era, because their first strip about Halo was like the week it came out, and it's just the two of them sitting on a couch holding these Xbox controllers that are as big as their TV, and they're like got their hands like positioned like it's a fucking arcade machine sized controller, and they're just talking about Halo, and they're like, so we're playing this Halo game, and it's just one corridor after another corridor after another corridor. Hey, you want to play some more Halo? No, let's go pound some nails through our dicks. and that was their take on it.
Right.
And then like a week later, they discovered the multiplayer, and every strip for like a month is about how they can't stop playing Halo multiplayer, and it's taken completely seriously.
Oh yeah.
It's like there was that one strip where it's like, let's make fun of giant controllers and how boring the game is.
Now they're like, Halo's amazing.
Yeah. And
we love Halo.
Quick.
The only sanctioned video game tournament I've ever been to was for Halo 2. I went to an actual... Now, I'm not... even with Halo, I'm not an online game player. I don't play games online.
Right.
I'm not I'm not in the mood to get stomped into the dirt by 12-year-olds.
Exactly.
That's not my thing.
It doesn't do it for me.
But the reason I went was the idea that they have 16 consoles system linked.
Oh yeah.
That was like, that is exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I was excited for them to have 16 consoles system linked.
Yeah.
And I went to that tournament and it was a blast. And I drank like 9 Red Bulls and was going totally insane because I was like 15. So
my original Xbox still has a Halo 2 save file on it because I offered up my Xbox as one of 16 for a tournament my friends were having.
Oh yes, your friends were having. I thought I was gonna say, what if your Xbox was at the tournament?
No. This was just at a stoner friend's house.
Yeah.
We brought out a 16-port Switch because we were nerds, so of course we had a 16-port Switch somewhere.
Right.
Set up the Xboxes, and I wasn't even playing, but I was still enjoying the atmosphere.
Oh, yeah, LAN parties are insane. It's so much fun.
We also, the same house, we did a 16-player Mario Kart Double Dash tournament.
Oh my god,
which was a mind fuck.
Yeah,
we didn't have 16 GameCubes between us, and I think it only supported up to 8 anyway.
Yeah,
but we had 6, and that was enough. That was enough to do 16 players.
Right,
and that was insanity.
But more to the point, the original Halo, it's nice to go back to. I still thoroughly enjoy it. It's definitely difficult if you've played a Halo game in the last couple years.
Or even a modern FPS, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, modern FPS, not so much, because I went directly from playing Battlefield 1, which came with my Xbox. So I was like, all right, I'll play the campaign. I won't do online, but I'll play campaign. I went straight from the cutting edge FPS game to the original Halo.
So you've got Battlefield 1, you've got the Master Chief Collection.
Mm-hmm.
Your hard drive is full, right?
Basically, it's 67% full right now.
Yeah, because it eats up 20% of the drive just on the OS.
Yeah, it's insane. I do have, if this were not a retro gaming show, and if Halo were not 15 years old, as you so kindly reminded me before the show, we wouldn't be talking about the Xbox One. I'll probably go into Xbox One some other time, but I've definitely got a lot of thoughts on that weird UI design with the Xbox One.
Real briefly, I actually really appreciate my Xbox One. I think it's a fine piece of hardware. It probably doesn't get quite as much use as my PS4. It certainly doesn't get as much use as my Wii U or my 3DS.
Right.
But it's a fine piece of hardware. But whoever decided that the default size of the hard drive should be 500 gigs, right in front of the execution squad, minimum 2 terabytes.
Not even that. The person that decided that removing the hard drive voids your warranty.
Oh yeah.
And you have to crack the system open like an egg. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it supports USB hard drives. Just buy one of those that are expensive.
I got mine on eBay for
$40. I paid $8 for my game, Saturn.
$40 for a 2 terabyte drive, though.
That is pretty good. Did you open it up? Is it just full of nickels?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of nickels in there. It's now my Xbox One went from 92% full to 20% full as soon as I plugged it in.
Hardware wise, it is. And granted, I have the S.
Yeah.
And I'm comparing the S to the launch PS4, which is not a fair comparison.
It's true.
Truly not. But it is head and shoulders a nicer piece of hardware.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the original Xbox One, I didn't like that. I didn't like that the controllers had proprietary plugs. They connected weird. The power brick was this giant thing.
Right.
It was insane. The Xbox One S, just a cord comes out the back. There's 3.5mm headphone jacks. I'm adapting to it. It's nice. It's a nice looking system. Yeah. And this is kind of a weird complaint or observation, I guess. I like that you can clearly see the vent fan on the top.
Oh, you can do that on the original Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, either one of them. But I'm comparing to PS4 because PS4, whenever I cram everything in my entertainment system, I don't want to block vents. And PS4, I'm like, where does it vent? Is it just this back vent?
Nowhere.
What's going on?
It vents nowhere based on my PS4, which just makes loud fan noises all the time.
Yeah, mine sounds like it's good. When I load up Grand Theft Auto 5, I'm pretty sure my entertainment system is going to burst into flames. But so I like that they have all the ventilation right here, and they're like, this is it. You can clearly see it. Don't cover this, you dummy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Also, since we are a retro gaming show, Xbox One has some backwards compatibility.
Oh, yeah.
You can play a bunch of 360 games on it, and the 360 is more than 10 years old now.
It was nice to fire it up and log into my old Windows account or whatever they call it. Is it just
Microsoft
Windows account?
now.
Microsoft account.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
It's your Skype account.
And I got to download Castle Crashers and Alien Hominid,
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night,
Yeah.
a bunch of old games that I had.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of I forget whenever I get away from my Xbox for a little while, but I forget how many classic games are available on Xbox Live.
Mhm.
Like you said, Symphony of the Night.
Yep.
There was that Monster World collection. Ikaruga's on there.
Oh, yeah, I have Ikaruga as well.
Radiant's on there, but you can only play it on the 360, not on the Xbox One. Fuck you.
Fix it.
Yeah.
Just fix it.
What's more, an amazing port of Radiant Silvergun.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I still play the Saturn version on my CRT.
Supports full HD.
Mm.
And they actually upgraded the graphics in it so that it looks nice in full HD.
I don't think you can convince me that there's a version better than a Sega Saturn on my CRT.
Yeah. And it does have different video display modes and everything.
Nice.
So it's really nice. Really, if you have a 360, definitely pick up Radiant Silvergun on there, because paying $10 on your 360 versus $11,000 on your
Right.
Saturn is no comparison.
I remember getting the Gauntlet, Xbox Live arcade version of Gauntlet. And it was like,
The original arcade Gauntlet.
yeah. And we were like, everyone was like, oh, all about Gauntlet for like a day and a half. And then we were like, never mind about Gauntlet. That's all right.
Yeah.
We've played enough Gauntlet.
The-
Anyway.
the other game that I've played the most on Xbox Live is probably Pac-Man Champion Edition.
Which that is fantastic. And the DX version is also fantastic.
The DX version is the one that I mostly played.
Oh my God, they're great games.
And I really, really, really want to get Pac-Man Champion 2. I keep telling myself I will,
Yeah.
but then every time I look at it, I'm like, well, I should get that. $12 feels like a lot for that.
If you want to get, I've learned that if any company wants to get you to buy a game, they just have to release a physical version with a plushie.
Oh, yeah. Good Lord.
the little Pac-Man plushie in there, you buy the shit out of that.
Yeah, if it was a plushie or like a little statue or an amiibo.
MSRP $89.99.
Or a soundtrack for some reason, I'll buy that. Just put it in like an outer poster board box with some extra thing with the case.
And then you're like, I have to know what's in there.
Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, there's a thing in a box with it.
The boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything.
Seriously. I kept the weird shipping box that Summon Night 5 came in.
I see that.
It like it's just a weird box. I had to have it.
I had a collector moment when I was making the inserts and everything for my Descent. Again, I'm going back to board games. I know someone just ripped their fucking hair out.
Andrew.
I'm going back and I was it came with this shitty cardboard insert that did nothing, but I needed a piece of cardboard to cover the top to hold the tokens in on my tray. So and it's got cool art on it.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to fold down in there. So I have to lay it flat and cut it to the size to lay on top. And it was killing me to cut the original cardboard insert that came with Descent. And in my head, I'm like, but it's like a collector's item. And then the other voice in my head was like, are you an idiot? What is wrong with just cut it? It's cardboard.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, it could be worth something someday. I cut it. I ended up cutting it. I got over it and I cut it.
It's hard to get past that, but it's worth it.
But I was so upset about cutting it and so on the fence that I cut the wrong side of it.
Oh.
And then I had to really jigger it around to get it working. But anyway, I hope the Halo fans, and certainly we are open to doing more Halo shows because we barely touched on the first Halo and it was kind of a last minute like, oh shit, we need a topic.
If we do it again, I'm going to have to actually go back and play one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the last time that I played one was 2003.
Yeah, you had no warning either. I showed up and I was like, we're not doing Metal Gear, we're doing Halo.
Yeah.
But as always, thank you for listening. Please do go check out our Patreon at patreon.com/retrowarriors if you'd like to support the show. And if you do,
and then you get to listen to Classic Corner.
Then you get to listen to Classic Corner.
Which is a reward of itself.
Indeed it is. I think the most recent one was Bubble Bobble, which that was fun to listen to.
And I get to read all the scripts beforehand. so I'm like way ahead of everyone.
Yeah, I like that we got to workshop a joke out of it last week too. I was like, oh, this is fun. This is like, we're like, get to write something. Anyway, please do absolutely go check us out there. You can also find all of our stuff, as always, at retrowarriors.net. And we will be back next week with hopefully Metal Gear. I hope maybe.
War never changes, but sometimes it gets delayed by a week.
Indeed it does. And as always, let us cling together.